We're here today with Karen Commins, Audible-approved ACX producer, who's come up from Atlanta to tell us a little bit about her audiobook career and hopefully share some advice for others out there to improve their career. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's really a joy to be here, and I appreciate your inviting me. And I'm happy to tell you and share anything I can.
Great. Why don't we start off, just give us a little bit of your background, tell us what you're currently doing as an audiobook producer and how you got there.
I worked full-time for the U.S. government for a large part of my life, but I started a voiceover business in 1999, and I've always wanted to do voiceover, but I did that while I did a full-time job. And as of 2012, I'm now full-time and full-time in audiobooks because that's really where my passion lies. I started with commercials and e-learning, and I just really don't fit so well with those as much as I do audiobooks because I just love the stories, I love the words, I love immersing myself in a good story. And so it's a dream come true to be able to be a full-time audiobook narrator. And as I told you earlier, I have ACX to thank for a lot of that because being in Atlanta, I didn't really have much opportunity for it until ACX opened that door, and so now here we are.
And you've done over 50 audiobooks now?
Yes. Starting back in the turn of the century, way back yonder, because I've actually had a home studio since 2001. And so I did some then, they're actually now out of print, and then I've got over 40 on Audible at the moment. And every day I'm working on the next one.
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
I also know that you've worked with coaches like Paul Allen Rubin, Nancy Wolfson, Pat Fraley. Can you talk about the importance of continuing to educate yourself throughout your career, never just resting on your laurels and just learning as much as you can as you go?
Absolutely. Because these are all performance arts. I mean, I was in voiceover, but that's a different thing than audiobook narration. It really is different. And so I worked with Nancy in commercial voiceover. I've worked with Paul and Pat Fraley in audiobooks. And for me, the people on the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. And success leaves tracks. So I've looked at the people in the industry, you know, who are they, what have they done, who have they studied with? And I've taken on study with different people because you sit at home and you don't know. You need somebody objective who's in the industry you're working in to give you some kind of feedback.
It can be a very solitary career.
Yes, but to guide and shape your performances so that you develop a style, you are giving listeners what they're expecting to hear. Mm-hmm. And I've always sought out the people who are considered tops because they have a success rate. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of my blog articles that I wrote several years ago was 10 questions to ask people who want to produce demos and people who are teaching classes. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many people, more and more popping up, it's sometimes hard to
know who's on the up and up.
Right, and so, you know, you really want to look at their success rate, the people that they're dealing with, the kind of success that they're having, because that'll tell you, is this a good fit for me? Is that a style I want to emulate? And, you know, the day you don't learn something, you might as well be dead. I mean, really, I'm not where I want to be. And every day, every session, my goal is to be better than yesterday.
It's a good goal.
But the way to get there, because performance is so subjective, mm-hmm. You really need that objectivity. You need to have that ear listening to you, and you fall in old habits. You know, you kind of need to get refresher or go talk to somebody new because there's new trends. You're just always striving and learning.
So on your website, you talk about, I love this quote, it says, "Success in voiceover requires continuous, deliberate action." Can you tell me what that means? Or tell them what.
Well, a lot of them may know because they may already be working in the field. Everybody has a nice voice. And when you work in voiceover, people come out of the woodworks to you saying, "I've been told I have a nice voice, mm-hmm. and I want to do voiceover," because it's perceived as some kind of easy thing to do.
All you got to do is read into a microphone. How hard could that be?
I mean, really, you know, we all know how to talk. I mean, please. So going back to my statement a minute ago that the people on top of the mountain didn't just fall there. Mm-hmm. You have to have, like climbing a mountain, you have to have a goal, you have to have a plan, you have to take steps every day toward that plan. And the people that are overnight success stories, so-called overnight success stories, often have been working for years, and they have suddenly become known by people, but it's because they've been putting forth this steady, consistent action.
Right.
And I even see it somewhat from people who are well established in voiceover now coming to audiobooks because they think, I'm already successful over here.
Right.
And I can just parlay that success to here. Well, you have some skills, and some of it is transferable, but going back to what I was talking about coaching, this is a different performance than a commercial. This is not a 60-second read. And you have to be in it for the long haul. You need stamina and endurance. And just performance technique is different. So, like I said, I even see this some from voiceover people wanting to cross that threshold just because of the audiobook gold mine.
Right.
But, they too, it's kind of like, starting back, not at zero perhaps, but at an earlier point, getting some coaching, maybe changing out their equipment, and, just keep making those steps every day to keep getting better, both in the performance and in their sound.
It sounds like there's a lot of intentionality there, a lot of planning and forethought. It sounds like the message is there is really no overnight success. Success takes training, education, planning, and hard work.
Yes, because the dictionary is the only place where success comes before work.
Got that? That's cute. I like that. Continuing on with the theme of things that you can constantly be doing to improve your career and your standing within your field, you're actually joining us in Newark today because you flew in from Atlanta for the APA Mixer.
Yes.
That's happening tonight.
Yes.
So the APA, I know you're active on some online forums. What do you get out of those? Why do you find it's important to stay involved in those forums in the industry?
Well, the APA, for those who may not know, is the Audio Publishers Association.
Thank you.
He was testing me on that. But I've been a member of the APA since 2001 or 2002. But within it are obviously people in the industry who can hire you. I mean, it's a great networking opportunity, but they've expanded recently to be so much more. I've previously worked on the website committee for them several years ago, but they now have more committees where you can work with other people, other narrators, other producers, publishers, for a common goal of spreading our love of audiobooks and getting more people involved in the industry, because it seems like it's everybody knows about it, but we're really just kind of getting to that point because technology has just caught up with where some of us have been for quite some time. So the APA is a wonderful way to network with other people in the industry. And you mentioned Facebook groups. There's several narrator groups. There's one that's just for audiobook that's a more general group. Right. And there's an ACX group. And there we share common problems we have, and people will say, well, how do you pronounce this? Or do you have a resource for that? And it's so helpful, especially since most of us do work at home, to be able to share common experiences. And is anybody having a problem with this? Or sometimes we even have to say, well, this person is not a good person to work with. And, you need that kind of feedback as well. I also recently joined the Sisters in Crime, which is a bunch of mystery writers. And they do include men. There's some sisters and misters.
Sisters and misters in crime.
Yes. I met a number of them at the Decatur Book Festival. And because I do a lot of cozy mysteries, I thought, I'd like to hang out with some of the mystery writers and kind of get in that thought process with them. And so it's such a solitary job that anytime you can be with other people, that's really when the magic's going to happen.
And so what is this magic you're talking about? You learn a lot. The networking, it seems so especially important in this field, as you said. You're forging relationships, getting help on something, or getting a recommendation. Hey, I have this book. I'm not the right voice for it. You might be. It just sounds like that's all very important for, again, furthering yourself in this industry.
It really is, because Barbara Scher, who's probably one of the first life coaches ever, she wrote a book called Wishcraft, and I love Barbara Scher, my own evolution started because of a book she read, that she wrote. And I bring her up because she had a great saying, isolation is a dream killer. And so you really need to be with other people, even in this isolated job, because you can't do everything on your own. You can't get the books, you can't get in a writer's mind that you're the right narrator or a publisher or a producer. But beyond that, like I say, spreading the message about audiobooks, this is taking all of us, I think. And so that's what I mean by magic, that when you get the people together, you can...
Everybody can prosper more.
And you have the synergy. They always talked about that in Cubeville, but it's really true that my idea and added to your idea might come up with a really brilliant idea. And it's magic, and it's wonderful to be part of such a great community. Audiobook narrators, they're great. They are. They're such giving, lovely people. Everybody that is in these Facebook groups is...
Do you want to name the Facebook group so that others that are watching
can
fill out your ranks?
Sure. There's one called Audiobook Crowd. There's one called ACX Narrators and Producers, and to be in that group, you must have a profile on ACX. There's one called Narrating Audiobooks from the Public Domain. And there's also a professional audiobook narrators group. And you must have narrated, I think, 10 books to be in that group. And the conversations in them are different, depending on the needs there. But, we share articles with people, and it's just our water cooler.
In addition to learning a lot and constantly getting out there and getting education, I very frequently see you, whether it's an article that you've written for Digital Book World, you've been our guest on the blog and written blog articles, you have your own blog. You really hustle. You seem to be out there. I don't know where you find the time. Out there really doing a lot and getting your name out there a lot. Can you tell me why that's so important for your career? Is it a matter of name recognition? Is it a matter of giving back? Is it a matter of, you just never know where that next networking opportunity is?
I have a business purpose for everything that I do. And last year I took a workshop from C.J. Hayden, who wrote Get Clients Now, which is the perfect book for marketing, because she outlines which marketing steps there are and where you are, and how to analyze where you are in the marketing process. Sometimes you're trying to build your funnel, sometimes you're trying to follow up with people who are already in your funnel, and you might do different things depending on where you are in the process. But she had a workshop called Business Building Writing, and she identified 6 ways that you can build your business through writing. One of those ways is, as we were just talking, to educate people.
Right.
Another of them is to build trust and credibility. So people see my name and they have the name recognition.
Right.
And then they go, oh yes, I read her article, or I saw her video, or she shared something on Facebook.
Right. That's an excellent point. Building your credibility, building your reputation in ways other than just your performance and stuff like that. And
I read an article from Seth Godin on his blog recently, or actually it was on Krista Tippett's. See, I remember these things. It was on Krista Tippett's, although I can't think of the name of her show. It's on Being, I think. It was a very long interview with Seth Godin, and this made a big impression on me. He said, everything you do that is being noticed is marketing. So I want everything I do to come across as quality, as educational, as helpful, as professional. I made a decision in 2003. I've been online long before that, but in 2003, I made a decision on these forums. I would always use my real name, and I always try to be kind rather than right. And I have never ever left a review on Amazon, because that did not further my business purposes. If I was going to do something online, it would further my business purposes.
It sounds like we're getting back to that same topic of intentionality and just always having a thought behind what you do and having it all fit into a larger plan for why you're doing things and where you want to go. And I think that's a great takeaway. is just to always try to have some forethought with what you're doing and have a plan to be able to get where you want to go.
Oh, absolutely. And the way to make the plan is going back to Barbara Scher's method of figure out where you want to go and then work back from there. What has to happen the step before that? What has to happen the step before that? What has to happen the step before that? Because then when you're not overwhelmed, then you have a plan. Well, today I can do this. Next week I can do that. Next month. So in the scheme of things, I'm on this through line to that goal.
Right. That sounds like a great way to achieve it.
It does. Break it down in small pieces and just keep working the plan every day.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Karen Commins, you can find her on ACX.
Yes.
And we look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks so much, Scott.
Great. Thank you.